Alright guys and gals, what is going on? Jake here for cultofredstone.com. Today we're going to be covering sorting machines. Now this is a one slot sorting machine right here. This is basically a skeleton model with the bare essentials for sorting items. Now what I've got here is a one cell sorting machine. So this little slot, this little thin mechanism right here, you can actually stack these next to each other and they're individual cells and each one equates to an item that you want to sort. So the items will end up in this chest after you deposit them in this chest. And then any items that are not compatible with the sorting machine, i.e. they do not have a sorting slot, will end up in this junk chest here at the end. So how this works is I deposit the items here, and in this case it's sandstone. And then these droppers will carry them up, but in order to get them to carry it up, I have to add the pulsing circuit to the machine right here, which I just did. And that'll cause the droppers to pulse the items up into this chest where they're siphoned out by these hoppers which flow into each other. And they act like a conveyor belt. They carry the items across until this hopper right here, which is the sorting mechanism itself, detects that there is space for the item that I threw in. That item drops into this one, and then it drops into this hopper before ending up in this chest right here. Any items that I did not specifically specify for the machine to sort will end up in this chest down here at the end. And the ticking signifies that it's done. So how this actually works in some detail is that the conveyor belt right here, that's pretty simple. It's just hoppers feeding into each other, going away from wherever you happen to have your dropper line into the junk chest. And then underneath it you have each of your cells. Now the first hopper of the cell has items in it that look like this. Now you need a dummy set of items in order to isolate the one that you want to sort. So what I usually do is I take snowballs because they have a really high value, and you'll see why that's important in a second. I usually take snowballs, I put one here, one here, one here, and then two at the very end. And then whatever item I want to sort, you need to place 3 of it right here. And the third one will end up in this hopper down here, but 2 will remain right here. And then as you saw earlier, the item value will kind of spam up and down as the items siphon through into the chest, which is where they ended up. So what is actually happening is that the item values inside this hopper are outputting a redstone signal via this comparator, which is reading from this hopper right here. The signal travels down here, feeds into this block, and it will trip this repeater, which will feed into this block, switching this torch off, allowing items to flow through. And items always flow left to right. So how this works in even more detail is that when an item is dropped into here, and I'll just demonstrate this right now, you'll see it was I dropped like 8. I'll do it again. You can see it always coasts down and stops at 2. Now the reason for that is that when I add more items, the item value goes up, and it goes up just enough to cause this block to become a secondary signal, tripping this repeater on, flipping this torch off, allowing for the items to flow through. Does that make sense? Good. All right, so that's why the snowballs are nice, because snowballs they're a fairly useless item, but they stack in stacks of 16. So that has a much higher data value as far as redstone signals are concerned than regular items. So it takes a lot less items to fill them up. So once the items flow through, and then there's only 2 of whatever item you're sorting left in here, then it will freeze again, and any items that do not belong in here will continue to flow across. So what you need to do is for programming each of these cells, after you build the cell, which I will demonstrate how to do that, add a comparator there, right there, and then an additional torch. Where's my torch? There it is. And add another block there, another block there. And then you can actually just, don't worry about this redstone interfering with itself. It doesn't actually affect it. And might need to put up some scaffolding here. And what you can actually do is if you want your chests to be side by side, is you can alternate between regular chests and trap chests. The only deficiency with trap chests is that when you open them, the items will stop flowing into the chest. They'll just build up into this this bottom hopper here. But when you close the chest, then they'll all flow in again. So I'm going to drop a trap chest right there, and then I'm going to have to come up here and shift click like that, and then I'm actually gonna have to fly around here and shift click. Make sure you click like right on the edge of that repeater right, or comparator right there, because you want this hopper facing into the comparator. Alright, so now that I've got the cell itself actually built, what I can do is I can program the slot. Now I do that by doing, as I said before, 1 here, 1 here, 2 here. Now, I would like this to sort iron blocks. So I'm going to drop 3 or 4 iron blocks in there, and you'll see it'll coast to a stop. And if it stops at 2, then that means you're good. Then there should be 1 in the bottom. Might want to check that just to make sure. And then 2 ended up in the chest here. So I'll get rid of my scaffolding here. All right, let's see how it works. So we're going to drop these items into here and activate the pulsing circuit to get the droppers to flow upwards. All right, so as you can see here, the sandstone is dropping into this chest, but because this one's a trap chest, the iron isn't going to flow into it live. It'll have to update after everything is done flowing. So you can see there goes all the sandstone. See, most of it ended up there. Looks like it all made it in, and now the iron is flowing through here. Oh, looks like we still got some sandstone. Do we? Yeah, we still do. So you can see it has a tendency to build up a little bit into this bottom dropper, but it eventually all makes it through. All right, so you can see the iron is beginning to flow. We don't have anything in there. So it's working. So the one deficiency with using snowballs is, again, they're useful, but if you put snowballs into the sorting machine, it will break everything. It will just basically cause the entire machine to melt down. And it's really a hassle to try and reprogram it. I've done that a couple times. I've been like, oh yeah, I'll just throw snowballs in here. What could possibly go wrong? So on some of my larger sorting machines, I added a cell on the line before the rest of the sorting machine. Make sure that the cell is the first cell, and make it a cell for snowballs. So make sure you can have a cell for snowballs, just make the entire thing snowballs, and that'll filter out all the snowballs that you throw into the system before they can wreak havoc on the rest of your slots. Just make sure it's the first slot in the line. So your line of hoppers going from left to right in this case, make sure it's the one that would sit like right here. So yeah, that is sorting machines in a nutshell. If you'd like more detail or any questions, go ahead and chat us up in the comments below. We'll be happy to respond and help. And you can always visit cultofredstone.com for more redstone tutorials. And be sure to subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time. This is Jake for Cult of Redstone, signing off.